For my brothers never had an ear to hear 'em. These the bricks for our sisters help us build it. If I could be a black fly on the wall, I can hear and see it all and have the mind of a god. Black, 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 black. Fly, 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 fly. Black, 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 black.
Welcome to another episode of Black Fly on the Wall. It's your boy LIDE. I'm your host. We have an amazing conversation going on today entitled Go to Battle with Your Enemies. So a lot of times when we hear the word enemy, we think about external factors, right? But a lot of times we know that what's in is what's out. So a lot of times whenever we're dealing with our enemies, it's a lot of the things that we're dealing with internally. And we're going to harp on it and we're going to touch on a lot of those things today. But first and foremost, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And have some very, very dope individuals here with me today. To my right, I have my boy Travis. Travis, introduce yourself to the people.
What's going on, everyone? I am Travis P. Jackson from Charlotte, North Carolina. I appreciate you bringing me here today.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
My guy.
Christian, introduce yourself, my man.
What's up, everybody? My name is Christian Haynes, aka The Black Badger. Originally from Jacksonville, North Carolina, but reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. So thank you for bringing me on here. Excited about
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. Keith, introduce yourself.
Keith Manley, Greensboro, North Carolina, and I'm just blessed to be here.
Absolutely. All the way from LA.
Sure.
Much love, man. I appreciate that. Going to battle with your enemies. Christian, when you first saw the title of Going to Battle with Your Enemies, and we kind of went over the synopsis of the conversation, what was your first emotional reaction to that?
Just about personally me, things I've dealt with, getting to where I've gotten. A lot of doubt, just growing up and stuff, trying to get to where I've gotten, because I played college football, and to get there wasn't the easiest thing. In high school, I was that guy that had to work for literally everything. I had 6 brothers.
Wow.
3 of them all played D1 football,
Okay.
but they're all like 6'2", 6'3", and I'm like 5'9".
Wow.
So I'm not saying it was given to them, but they had those extra things that got them there. But
sure.
I didn't have any scholarship offers after my career after high school. So my dad and me, we would train and stuff like that. And then that mentality shifted over to walking on to Elizabeth City. I went to Elizabeth City for a semester.
Nice.
But I just felt like I can do bigger and better. And my brothers played D1, so why not,
Mm-hmm.
And but I had a lot of doubt, should I take that? And that was kind of goes into that enemy within, should I keep myself where I'm at Elizabeth City, and not possibly know what could happen if I transfer to a bigger school, or do I just take that leap of faith,
Yeah, you took a leap.
And I did that, and everything worked out. I walked on to UNCC, ended up getting a scholarship as a senior.
Nice.
So, sometimes those enemies, that enemy of doubt and different things creep in, but sometimes you just got to fight back.
Absolutely.
And you can definitely benefit off of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So taking that, it's a book I often reference called Quantum Leap. It's about not setting short goals, but setting the big goal to quantum leap to that goal. So if you want to buy your first real estate property, let's say, for instance, you buy a multifamily with 4 doors instead of 1 door. Or if you have a goal of starring in a commercial, instead of starring in a commercial, star in a movie or star in a short film. So quantum leaping, looking at it from a point of view of there's no boundaries in what I can achieve. I'm my own limitation.
Exactly.
So if you're your own limitation, if you don't set that high enough goal for you to be able to even quantify in your mind that you can actually achieve it. So sometimes we limit ourselves, and we're our own enemy by setting short, small goals that are not big enough for what the mind can handle. So that's dope that you continue to push yourself and move your own goalposts. People be like, oh, you moving the goalposts in the conversation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's almost best that we need to move that goalpost in our mindset to consistently move that goal further and further and further. That'll make us stretch out and do something bigger and bigger.
Facts.
So Keith, when you first heard the going to battle with your enemies, what was your thought process on that?
Well, it's very similar to what you just said. So I think the thing that I thought about first was almost trying to make sure that I confirmed that I was worthy enough for the things that I wanted out of my life.
For sure.
I think a lot of times we feel like we have to push ourselves and put ourselves in situations because we want the story of coming from nothing, right? Like
Mhm.
it's this whole thing where we love to take pride in saying we didn't have anybody to, I did it by myself. I took care of all this stuff and I did it without any help. And it's like, that's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? I think help, people need people in general. So
Absolutely.
I think I was blessed to be able to have a support system and still want to accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish. And I think when you think like that, I think a lot of times you start thinking smaller. And so I think the second thing I thought about was just making sure I was thinking big enough. Like you just said, you think instead of you want to be in a commercial, you want to do a movie. I think when I was in my creative space and as I am now, it gets to a point where, at one point I wanted to do, maybe it was doing music. Like music is a huge part of my life, but I could have my own production company if I wanted to, as opposed to just putting out projects. I could
Mhm.
manage other artists. I could help them with their creative space
Mhm.
and give them opportunities and stuff that I may not have had coming up. So I think when you put yourself in that box, you just have to, like you said, fight back and like use your your self conscious to be like, no, I'm worthy of this stuff. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I can do this and I deserve it if I want
Absolutely.
to put in the work. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you take action. I think sometimes, man, I think one of the biggest enemies that we deal with internally is imposter syndrome.
yes.
So creating this reality or we are experiencing this reality within our mind to where it's like, do I belong in this space? So, Christian, do you feel like you've experienced imposter syndrome throughout your trials and tribulations of becoming who you are?
No, that's 100%, 100%. But that's when God comes through
Mm-hmm.
and surprises me every single time. So what I do, I'm an actor and also a YouTuber, social media content creator. I do a lot of comedy, but things started to pop off for me during the pandemic. So I've been only doing this thing 3 years, but where I'm at is you would think I've been doing it
Yeah,
for
yeah.
10
Big time,
years,
man.
Right.
and it's
Big time.
crazy. But that's just I just do my part, and then God really just does the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have that moment when I got invited to the Streamies last year, and the Streamies is basically like the Oscars for social media influencers in Beverly Hills. So it's a big award show, and yeah, I got invited. It was like kind of very surprising because these are like big namers that go there. You got Kai Cenat,
Mhm.
RDC World, just these big creators. And I remember going with my girlfriend. I'm there at the table with these YouTubers and stuff like that. I'm just like, yo, like, do I really like belong here?
Right.
Like,
right.
it's only like year 3, year 2 of what I do,
Right.
and things are just moving so fast. But
Mhm.
do I really belong here? And I know this year streaming's happened again. I didn't get invited, but almost as time went on, I thought about like God put me there for a reason. Be like, yo, you belong here. Like, I want you to know that. So like getting invited, like that really switched my mind. And did I know like I'm talented? I know I can do just as much as anybody else. But when I got invited, like I really was that hit me. I was like, yo, why am I in this space? Like I'm in this, these people have been doing it for years and I've
Right.
just started and I'm already here.
And Travis, I think too, like I saw that whenever Christian was saying that, he was dealing with the imposter syndrome. A lot of times too, we place a time reference on how
Mhm.
quickly we should meet success
Right.
Exactly.
because our minds have been shifted. Have you ever dealt with that to where it's like, oh, I've only been doing this for a year. It's not enough time. Or I've only been doing this for 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. I still need to continue to grind to get to that level. What's been your experience with that?
My experience with it has been different, right? Because with what I do with HBCU Pride Nation and everything like that, I've been doing that for over a decade,
Mm-hmm.
right? So mine is more so I've been doing this for such a long time, but I don't sometimes see the fruits of my labor,
For
in
sure.
which I would want to see. You see what I'm saying? I had somebody say to me, Travis, you've been doing this for over 10 years. Where you gonna be in the next 10 years? Or are you still gonna be in the same space? So when we bring in imposter syndrome and we bring in time, like it's a real heavy thing for me
Mhm.
because there's been times where I wanted to get away from what I'm known for. There's been times where I was like, yo, this not working out.
Mhm.
But it's also about the amount of work and effort that I'm putting in. I deal with imposter syndrome a whole lot, bro.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't know that because I'll come in here, I'll have like all the energy, I'll make sure everybody's good, but I don't make sure I'm good. You feel what I'm saying?
For
And
sure.
I'm sure y'all have
Absolutely.
experienced that before.
Mhm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, I don't want to deal with that no more. So you know what I did? I started a car detailing business
Mhm.
and just had to keep moving forward. I started this weekend.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, that's fire.
Congratulations.
But I think in terms of people saying 1 year or 2 years, it don't matter.
Mhm.
As long as you get where you need to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And know that you deserve to be where you are. Because you have some people, like, they'll be running the game for a long time. But then you have the players, some new players come in and start taking over, but those older people start getting threatened by the younger people.
Mhm.
Sure.
And then because that's going on, the younger people feel like they're not good enough. It's not our fault that we know how to reach people and know how to create stuff.
For sure.
So yeah.
For sure. And two, I think imposter syndrome, man, I think it's something that everybody deals with at least one time in their life.
Yeah.
But it's all about the strategies that we deploy to be able to negate those feelings and transmute that into something positive. I think one of the biggest things is the opposite of imposter syndrome is to use that emotion that you're feeling as motivation.
Mhm.
So motivation to push you forward, motivation to make you go harder. I think Christian, what you said, what really worrying to me is also is that being exposed to the streamies in Beverly Hills makes you look at,
Yeah.
okay, I can move that goalpost a little further.
Mhm.
Now I see what I can achieve. And now I've been exposed to all of these new things. Now I need to make sure that I need to do what I can do on my part to get back to that level, to stay at this level, and to continue to receive that abundance.
Exactly.
Right. So I think we have to be able to learn the science of transmutation. So it's like if you're feeling depressed, the transmute that into happiness. What is something that makes you feel happy? Keep being in LA with the success that you've had in the creative space. Do you sometimes ever deal with any anxiety related to failures or success?
All the time. All the time. With having a background in sports, I think that's the thing that's helped me the most in my entire life. You know, because like even before basketball games, you know, there's not a single basketball game I grew up playing in. When I got to college, I was fortunate enough to play Division I basketball as well. But before every single game, no matter how much time I was going to get or not get, I was going to be anxious. I had like huge anxiety, and learning to kind of navigate through that and understand like when it's tip off, you know, none of it matters anyway. Like you're in the game. And when you get too deep in your head in the game, we all know what happens with that. You start screwing up, doing things you've practiced and worked on so much, you start messing those things up because you're already in your head.
Yep.
I think a big part of it is just being present and understanding like, look, you know, everything that's going on around me at this point doesn't matter. I'm in the game. I think anxiety a lot of times comes from you wanting to focus and think about what other people are going to think about what's going on. And you know, you think about doing that at the free throw line when the game is on the line. If you're thinking about missing a shot, chances are you're going to miss a shot.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you really just have to put yourself in the present moment and kind of block everything else out.
And think about what you just said that was synonymous to who we are and how we function in life. Because it's best practice for us to operate in life with blinders on, right? So that the noise that's going on outside of those blinders doesn't affect you. Or also too, you hit on a lot of being mindful. That's one of my biggest principles that I apply in my life is being mindful. Being mindful during conversations, being mindful while you're driving in the car, being mindful at all times, because being mindful allows you to be present.
Yes.
And you're not concerned with what's going on in the past or happened in the past. You're not concerned with what's going to happen in the future. You're more so concerned with the present time, the now. And if you can always take care of now, the future will always be taken care of because
Absolutely.
you're so present in every step along your journey. And if we can continue to remind ourselves to be present, that'll lower the anxieties that we feel because anxiety is the worry of what's to come.
Yes.
But if you have faith and you're steadfast in being present, being mindful, knowing what you're capable of doing, reaching into your higher power, what you believe in, you will always understand that things have always been taken care of and they always will be.
Exactly.
Always.
Right? You know, so we just have to be steadfast in what we believe in and also continue to apply those principles. And I think like what you said about the free throw line is key too, is because sometimes we can blow some of the biggest moments in our lives from our own self-doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you gotta look back and think like, did I sabotage that?
Yeah.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like self-sabotage is real.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Self-sabotage is real. Tell
is,
me
bro.
an instance that you self-sabotage. Just
Shit.
be honest. We've all done it.
I self-sabotage in my business a lot, right? Like one thing that I hate or that I do not like is I feel like people put me in a box because of the number of followers that I have
Okay.
Mhm.
on
Okay.
IG.
Okay.
And they'll be like, "Oh, you the man, you're doing this, you're doing that." I'm like, "Nah, bro. I'm a human being."
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll start looking, and then also as we're talking about self-sabotaging, that also brings in comparison.
Mhm.
Because I'll start looking at different people that's doing HBCU businesses and brands, and I'll see that someone has all these partnerships with these movie companies. I see
Mhm.
that someone has a TV show. Someone just made $1 million off of merchandise and everything
Mhm.
like that. And I'll be like, bro, I don't see that.
Mhm.
And it messes me up. But then as we're speaking about faith, I know that even though I may not have it right now, I still have the opportunity to get it.
Absolutely.
And what I've decided that I have to stop doing, I have to stop defeating myself based on the opportunities I didn't take full advantage of in the past.
Mhm.
So
You see what I'm saying?
accountability.
Accountability.
So like that's the balance of we were talking about transmutation. If you experience self-sabotage and you come to that conclusion that you experience in self-sabotage and you say, you know what, I messed up this opportunity by my own wrongdoing.
Mhm.
Accountability is what you have to transition to. Step into the vibrant world of Culture Boutique, your go-to fashion haven nestled at 518 East Trinity Avenue, Durham, North Carolina. Culture offers a meticulously curated collection that seamlessly blends the latest fashion trends with a dash of cultural elegance. The racks showcase an array of styles from eye-catching prints that pop with color to timeless classics that exude sophistication. What sets Culture Boutique apart is their commitment to celebrating the culture through clothing. And at the helm of it all is the owner, Maurice, a fashion enthusiast with an unwavering passion for uniting cultures through style. But don't just take their word for it. Their satisfied customers attest to the unbeatable quality and variety they provide. Whether you're seeking a show-stopping outfit for a special occasion or simply wanting to refresh your everyday wardrobe, Culture Boutique is your destination. Join them at 518 East Trinity Avenue, Durham, North Carolina, and let them help you tell your unique story through fashion. Come and embrace diversity in style through Culture Boutique, where every outfit narrates a rich tale of culture and individuality. Visit their website at shopculture.online to explore their latest collections and start your fashion journey today. So we have to always figure out like what are some tangible things that we can apply.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Christian, have you ever experienced self-sabotage throughout your career or with what you're doing now with your business?
I think the real thing that has came to mind is how to not self-sabotage. I think I've been in more of that. For example, as in before I went to UNCC from Elizabeth City, I could have easily self-sabotaged myself there. But the thing that got me to go was what would happen if I did. I didn't want to stay and be like, what if?
Right.
And that's how I think that could have been a situation where I did experience self-sabotage, but I did not want to experience what if whatsoever.
Like, what if I don't, like, even with HBCU Pride Nation, what would happen if I don't continue to keep going?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
What can happen next week? What can happen next month? What can happen next year?
Tomorrow.
I mean, I think 2 Chainz is like a perfect example of somebody who has resilience because he didn't get his major deal until he was like 38, 39 years old.
Facts.
Exactly.
And he blew up and had a run
Yes.
with good music. He had the hardest verse on with him and Ye, Pusha T and all that. You know what I mean? Then he blew up and then he had all of these albums to come after that. And then like he is just a person that we can identify in our culture that was like continue. I mean, he was with that one group. What was the one group?
Before,
Yeah,
Ludacris, he was with
DCP.
Yeah,
Disturbing the
DCP,
Peace.
yeah,
he was
Okay.
with them, and so he was, and so you
Yeah.
really never heard
Yeah,
of.
with Titty
Then he
Boy.
changed his
Yeah,
name
man.
from Titty Boy
Yeah.
to 2 Chainz,
Yep.
and then he remade himself. And so I think that right there shows you too, like the importance of pivoting,
Absolutely.
going
Yeah.
from Elizabeth City to
Absolutely.
UNC Charlotte. You know, from what you were from, I think also you were starting doing a lot of stuff in acting. You wasn't pushing yourself in that box, and then you
For
said,
sure.
you know what, I'm a creative. I can help others create.
Yeah.
You know, so I can help others manifest their dreams.
And also, you don't have to depend on any specific person or company or situation happening for you to keep moving forward.
Mhm.
I think that's a big part of like with content
No
creating.
codependence.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I was as independent as possible. And meaning independent, when I say independent, I mean I can, rely on the people that I can trust the most,
Mhm.
as
Correct.
opposed to, some type of production company or agency, casting agency to
Yeah.
reach out. Like, I just hope that I get this. I
Mhm.
just hope I get this part.
Mhm.
You get tired of that after a while.
Right.
I get tired of it. I just hate having to like hopefully wait on this call. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting by the phone. I can't wait.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's so much more that I want to do, and also other people that I want to help and inspire to do their own thing and say, you don't have to wait on the machine
Mhm.
to do what you want to do. Come up with your own thing.
Mhm.
Content creation is a prime example of it. You have to get up every morning and like treat it like it's because it is a job,
Mhm.
but you wouldn't have landed at the streamies if you didn't wake up on routine every day and say, I got to get to it regardless of anybody clocking me in or not. So
That's facts.
Resilience.
Yeah, and it's I like what he said because you hear it a lot. I heard it from the Waynes family, the brothers and all
Mhm.
them. You just make your own table.
yes.
Mhm.
You gotta make your own table, and I've been in that situation a lot, especially with acting right now
Oh,
with
yeah.
the SAG strike.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we're just sitting.
Yes.
You know, I'm not getting nothing right now, so we're
Mhm.
just chilling. But like, I gotta keep doing stuff. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? So like right now, like for example, me and my homeboy Jeffrey Jordan during the pandemic, a little bit after that, we made our own short film off of a viral skit,
There you go.
and then we did it and won like some comedy short awards. Was it like the best thing ever? No, but I'm proud that we just did it.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Now we're like,
Right.
yo, we can probably do a feature film.
Absolutely.
So it's just that you make your own table and just
Absolutely.
keep pushing. You don't, because if you wait, then it's
Absolutely.
not even promised something's going to come.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You know?
And two, it's like we have to establish, especially as Black men in America, we have to establish grit.
Yes.
Like, and I don't mean don't feel your emotions, but establish the mental power and the mental muscle to continue to keep going.
Yes.
Mhm.
And to continue to assess your journey along the way. Be mindful in that journey, but we have to oftentimes learn how to bite down and continue to grow, because if a kid comes to you and says they want to make the soccer team, you're gonna and they have all this doubt about making the soccer team, you're gonna give them this whole Vince Lombardi speech about how they can make it.
Yeah.
You're gonna give them all the motivation in the world.
Mhm.
You're gonna hype them up. You're gonna affirm to them what they're good at. You're gonna tell them what they need to improve on. You're gonna give them this whole list, and an hour later, they still gonna be sitting there like. But when it comes to us, ourselves, and we deal with these issues on our plane, right? Because little kids have their own reality, and we have our reality, and it's like we're looking down at them on what they have going on in their world, right? So if you have nieces, nephews, whatever around you, you look at that as some of the problems that they experience is they're important to them, but they're minuscule in the bigger scheme of things.
Mhm.
The architect that created this universe, God, whatever you want to call him, however that resonates with you, looks at our challenges
Mhm.
the same way, right?
Mhm.
So if we understand that concept of as above, so below, so as things are happening in a child's world, things are happening in our world.
Mhm.
As things are happening in the greater universe of things are happening in our world.
Mhm.
So it's like as above, so below. That's the principle of correspondence. So we have to continue to make sure that in this grand scheme of things are always working out for our favor as long as we continue to put one foot forward.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I think establishing some grit and resilience is key. But what are some ways that Travis, you would say that you consistently add positive deposits into your mind?
How do I add positive deposits
Whether
into
it's
my mind?
whether it's a religious practice, whether it's books you read,
So of course
friends.
I pray. I have a very close relationship with my pastor.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yep.
Yep.
Pastor Mike Roach, Greater Church, Charlotte. And when you're close, and I'm a bearer as well, right? So when you're very close to a pastor, it makes you want to change yourself, right? Because you realize that everything that you do is a reflection of the person that you're serving, right? And also, when I say serving, I'm also serving God as I'm serving my pastor. You see what I'm saying? But then also I read a lot, like 48 Laws of Power, the Four Agreements, Atomic Habits.
Yes.
Let's speak on Atomic Habits real quick.
Yes. I just finished that book.
You did?
Yes.
Hey, that's good, brother.
Yes.
Atomic Habits showed me something. Like who we are today is because of the habits that we've done and had in the past.
Absolutely.
And it said something that helped me. It was like, determine who you want to be today and win in small victories. Right? A lot of times people want to do the big victory. And I realized that I gotta celebrate my small wins.
Yes.
That's one way. Also pouring into the people that surround me. Because one thing I believe if you make enough deposits, you'll always be able to withdraw.
Sure.
And that's not just in terms of money. That's in terms of energy. That's in terms of positivity from other people.
Absolutely.
And this is gonna be weird. No, I'm not gonna say it's weird. I love it. I say bubble baths, bro.
What?
You feel what I'm saying? I say bubble baths because self-care is very important.
Absolutely.
So you know you gotta get your bubble bath. You got your Epsom salt. You get your candles. You get your sound bar, and you listen to what you want to listen to.
Yep.
If you want to drink, you get a drink.
And be mindful.
And be mindful, bro, and just
slow
be
down.
right there.
Slow down, decompress.
That's the thing, bro.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, and the thing about Atomic Habits is that the small habits that you make are a sum to the big achievement that you have.
Yeah.
So we don't experience achievements on any level without these looking back at our journey on these small steps that we've taken, whether it's waking up early, whether it's doing that piece of content whenever you're really not feeling it, whether it's taking that course so that you can get better at your craft, whether it's networking, whether it's giving time that you really don't feel like you have to give in that moment, but you want to give so that one day you will receive that giving back to yourself. Because as you give, so shall you receive.
Sure.
So it's like we have to continue to make these small steps so that whenever we get to that big achievement, we can look back at our journey and say, I did this, and this is what led to that.
And then we also have to be real with ourselves.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't self-assess like what's really going on. Because a lot of people will still be living on a natural high of what they did 5 to 10 years ago.
Man.
And not
Glory
understand.
days. That's what I call it.
You feel what I'm saying? Like I don't want to know
that term so bad because of why you're saying it, because what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't care if you won the championship in 1980, bro. Like
You still should be working.
you was a certain person in 1980 and you was working in 1980.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what are you doing now?
Exactly.
Like you get what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times people aren't assessing themselves authentically.
Correct.
And I think once people start to understand how to see themselves, other than always taking it from everyone, like you were supposed to be at the streamings, bro.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna say this to you, and you probably know already. God will give you a glimpse before He give you the whole gift. You see what I'm saying? Like God, even you took. I'm in my bed now.
No, go ahead.
What God does, man, God will show us what we can have, right? Just like He wanted to take the Israelites to the land of milk and honey, right? But they were fearful of it, and they didn't want to go. And they were almost there, and they came back because they were so used to being in captivity and bondage and everything. And they didn't want anything different, bro.
And think about what you're saying too. And the analogy of that story is that we're often in captivity and bondage in our minds.
In our minds, bro.
So whenever we experience new things into our reality, we have to relate that to, am I oftentimes limiting and keeping myself prison?
Yeah.
By not exposing myself to different levels of in this world, like different ethnicities, different types of creativity, different types of podcasting, different types of YouTube, and different types of HBCU partnerships. Like,
Yeah.
how can we, the Wayne's brother said, create your own table?
Mhm.
Even while you creating your own table, you're exposing yourself to things that are completely untouched and sometimes untapped.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would say that I think the biggest thing with taking that leap and exposing yourself to these things that are untapped is vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like embracing the vulnerability. Christian, throughout your journey, do you find how has your vulnerability shifted now that you've achieved success? Because I would say that personally myself, I become more vulnerable the more that I achieve,
Mhm.
because I want to continue to leave myself open and exposed to the success so that new things can come my way,
Sure.
versus building this wall up and blocking myself and putting myself in a shell and saying, I'm only going to do this, I'm only going to do that, I'm only going to do this. No, I'm open to all possibilities that lead
Yes.
mentally to my goal
Facts.
of achieving what I want to achieve.
Yeah, I think with me, I feel like I can stick to one way, but if I want to grow, I gotta be open.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I've gotten to where I've gotten so fast, because I haven't just stuck to one way and just shut out like, oh, this is how I'm gonna do it. Like, no, there's different ways to do it. And just also being around different creators and them being
Exposure.
vulnerable
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So when you get around those creators and they're vulnerable, you be like, okay, so this is how they are, and this is how they got there. So I'm gonna learn to be this way, you know? So just learning from different people and just putting myself out there and not sticking to just one way and doing different ways. That I'm gonna be honest, that's probably why I feel like
That's
that
a
plays
key-
a part why I've
key
gotten
element.
to where I got. Yeah.
What about you, Keith?
I would agree completely. I think when I realized that the more I open myself up and kind of show exactly who I am, and people gravitate towards it, I think that's when blessings start coming in. Because I feel like a lot of times when you stay so guarded, and a lot of us, especially as Black men, we feel like we can never let our guard down or tell somebody about how we really feel about something or express ourselves. The more we do that, you're almost, when you block people out, you're also blocking things coming in as well. And so in creativity, as being an artist, I mean, I think a lot of times the reason we go through blocks is because we feel like there's a certain thing, there's a certain output that we're looking for that we're not getting, or not like a certain message that we're not being able to get out. When, like, I think a lot of times we just like limiting ourselves, for other things to come in. So I think the big thing for me is continuing to share my story. After, I think the biggest thing that happened was when I was on the show at Married at First Sight, right? It put me in a position.
You mentioned this, I didn't.
Right. Okay.
I'm messing with you.
Let's address it. But yeah, I mean, I think it was huge because before that, 5 years I spent in Charlotte as a mentor for teenage boys. So every day, this was my full-time job. I was spending listening and talking with these kids who a lot of times didn't have the best background, a lot of times didn't have a father figure around, and they're 15 years old and they have no idea how to express themselves in a competitive manner, right?
Yep.
And so
you're that conduit.
Exactly.
Yes.
And for me to even be able to be on the same frequency as them, I have to do it. I have to show the example before I'm trying to ask them, well, what's wrong? Why are you acting out?
Correct.
I have to show them how to open themselves up.
Correct.
And, with 15-year-old boys, they're not trying to hear anything you got to say unless you're asking them questions and unless you're trying to tell them that you're genuinely concerned about their well-being, because they a lot of times grew up in the house as the man of the house. 15, a guy coming into your life trying to tell you, hey, sit down, or hey, it's time to do some homework. They're looking at you like, who is this dude?
Yeah, I'm the man.
Yeah, exactly.
In my reality, I'm
exactly.
the head.
I fight. I argue with my mom, and she talks to me like I run the household a lot of times. And so for me to even get to be able to talk to them on a space where they'll even listen, I had to level and show them who I was. And it really humbled me in a huge manner. And then that rolled into, being casted for Married at First Sight, which you can try for a little while for reality TV. But when you're filming 12 hours a day, who you are is going to come out eventually, right?
Yes.
You can act as much as you want to, but you're going to show yourself in so many different ways. And I think that was the thing that really opened me up, was that afterwards, when things didn't go ideally, now I have to figure out like how people are going to receive that. People know your story a little bit more. They got introduced to my parents, got introduced to my brother. They're seeing my situation, and it was like almost like I was forced to have to like show myself more, and then that kind of just cracked the egg wide open.
So you use, instead of allowing the now being under a microscope uh push you to kind of almost to darkness. Sometimes that
Oh
type
yeah,
of light can push people away and push people to have the anxiety and depression and to feel like they're living in a bubble.
Oh,
You
yeah.
more so took on that challenge of now, okay, now that I've experienced this in a way, stardom in a way, the world knows who I am. I now can use that to catapult myself forward versus developing that imposter syndrome. Like, do I really deserve to be here? I was on a reality show. I
Mhm.
wasn't in a big movie.
Mhm.
I was working a regular job or whatever it may be, and now I'm experiencing this level of attention.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way that I was introduced to most people is through getting married to a stranger on a television show where we meet each other at the altar, right? And our family and friends are sitting around,
Mhm.
and like, that is like first of all, it's the craziest thing you could ever do in life, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. But then after that, it's like when that doesn't go, you're putting yourself out there to meet somebody, right? And to meet the perfect person, which who knows what that like, who knows if that's even a real thing.
Mhm.
But then when it doesn't work out, it's like, you're in a wide open space. There's no way to get around
Yeah,
it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So you just have
Right.
to, it's like, well, now what? And, for me, I think before I even went into the show, I looked at it from best case scenario, worst case scenario. Best case, worst case scenario, I end up just, humiliating myself, making an ass of myself, my family, everyone that knows me for real.
Right.
But then worst, best case scenario is that like, I do meet this person that, is everything I was looking for. But in between that is so much middle ground.
Mhm.
Life doesn't go best case, worst case
It's
all the
infinite
time.
possibilities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you open yourself up and say, you know what, I'm going to let go. If look, God, if this is what you wanted out of my life, let's do it. And without whatever anxiety I have, like I'm going in there and I'm going to do it anyway. And it goes to what you're saying about like feeling how you feel, but do it anyway.
Yes.
And so that was kind of how it went. And so when I did that and when I decided to open myself up like that, I got a lot of stuff and a lot of blessings that came along with it.
Yes.
Also a lot of nonsense too. But
Yeah. you take the good with the bad.
exactly.
Right? Man, but fellas, to sum this up, I think all in all, it's about making sure that the door is open for the infinite possibilities that we want. And the main way that we can keep that door open is to continue to assess the enemies that we have, because not everybody's enemies are the same, but assess the enemies that we have. We can do that through meditation. We can do that through prayer. We can do that through journaling. We can do that through therapy sessions. We can do that through taking time to ourselves. We can do that through solitude. I think that is something that's overly oftentimes overlooked. The solitude is really an opportunity for you to experience time by yourself and to assess yourself and to block out all the noise. But I think it's all about the self-assessment and who we are. So taking that, opening yourself up, leaving that door open to take that catalog of what's going on with me today, how am I feeling today, what am I experiencing today, and what things can I apply today to make sure today is one of my best days,
Absolutely.
right? And to then look at your goals and your achievements and your failures, put them all in one bucket, swirl it around and say, you know what, I'm starting over because today is a clean slate. I'm not going to replicate the mistakes that I've made, but I'm also going to continue to replicate the successes and the small steps that I did, the atomic habits, in order to get to this large goal, right? And this is a conversation for another day, but how we define success also has to be shifted in how we move forward in life, because success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So whether it's the person working at 7-Eleven, if they wake up every morning and they're happy, right, with what they're doing, that's success. If you are a CEO of a Fortune 500 company and you love what you're doing, that's success. But also on the other hand, if you hate working at 7-Eleven, or if you hate being a CEO, or if you hate being a plastic surgeon, or if you hate being an actor, but you're continuing to participate in something that is not serving you, you have to make sure that you are assessing that and saying, okay, how can I serve myself today? And the more we serve ourselves, the more service it can be to the community.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's
man,
right.
amazing conversation, fellas.
So
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's two things. One thing that has kept me going is that I realize even in my own darkness, someone sees me as their light.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? Because like the things that we have to deal with internally, it's a dark place, man.
Oh yeah.
And even as we're dealing with things like people still respect us, they look up to us and everything like that. And what I've had to understand is the power of self-love too,
Yes.
because it's a quote that I live by. You can't be Superman and Superwoman to everyone else and kryptonite to yourself.
Mm.
Because
that.
you're trying to do everything for everybody else. You saying yes to everything to the point where you feel drained. And being able to have the power to say no is sometimes more powerful than saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to close it out, I think us as a community, especially Black community, African community, is that we have to learn how to appreciate the darkness.
Yeah.
Because out of darkness, that's where creativity is born.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we want to continue to create, if we want to continue to grow, if we want to continue to strive and achieve, we have to appreciate the dark times, because the dark times can be transmuted into light. You know, so just as the tide goes out and comes back in, life is in the same cadence. So we have to have the realistic expectation that there's going to be times that we identify as low, or we can shift our mindset on how we identify those times. We can stop saying this is a bad time, or this is a negative time, or this is a low time. We can say this is a challenging time, and then accept the challenge to then rise to the occasion. So appreciating the darkness will allow us to continue to create, continue to birth the things that we want to birth, and continue to succeed.
There you go.
Much
Very
love.
true.
Is that?
Oh man, good episode, fellas.
For my brothers never had an ear to hear 'em. These the bricks for our sisters help us build it. If I could be a black fly on the wall, I can hear and see it all and have the mind of a god. Black, 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 black. Fly, 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 fly. Black, black, black.